Hi everyone, Brian Rhodes here. I've just been preparing some notes here for a little presentation I'm going to be giving on Thursday night to an Actors Jam here in Toronto. Um, I often attend these and I'm asked to talk a little bit about my career as an actor and or to talk about some of the tools that I put to use in my career. And in this case, we're going to be talking about learning lines. And so I thought I would speak to what we call a table read. Now, this is not the table read that you've heard of where the whole stage play is read by various actors and or screenplay is read right through by various actors. No, this is a line learning table read, a completely different thing. One of the things you'll learn when you get into acting is that there's so many different ways to learn lines. If you're lucky enough to have a photographic memory, that's one thing. But most of us have to work very hard at it. And you're going to find a technique that works for you. You might have to try dozens before you do find that technique. But I can tell you the table read, the learn lining table read, works very well. But it does require that you have a reading partner. It makes it a little more difficult maybe because that reading partner's got to be available at the drop of a hat, because often you're given your audition sides the night before and you have to present them the next day. So as I say, it's not the easiest to having a reading partner around, which is why the spouses of actors are called upon more frequently than not to be that reading partner, and or hopefully a good friend who's an actor, him or herself, which is even better. Anyway, as I said, the various techniques are unlimited, I believe, and can be as eccentric as they may need be to help you learn your sides. I'll give you an example. Although I can't speak to it firsthand, I'm told Christopher Walken will remove all of the punctuation from all of the sentences, remove all of the capitals off of the words, and learns a passage as a mass of words. It's a unique technique, but obviously one that serves him well. So find your own way, but you might want to start with a table read. Why a table read? Well, let me give you an idea why. First of all, table read you can take to a cafe with you. Now, what do I mean by that? Literally, I mean you go to a cafe with your partner and you want to read these sides, do the table read right there out loud in the coffee shop. It's great experience. There are going to be people beside you talking. There's going to be noises, etc., interruptions, but you can't let them bother you. So you might as well start getting used to this, because these are the types of things that are going to happen on a set anyway. And so it's a good experience. The other thing about a table read is that because you can do that, and you don't need a lot of paraphernalia to make it work, you will therefore be able to push your comfort envelope. It's not easy to sit down and read sides with a lot of people around you. We like to be more in control than that affords us. So it's pushing your comfort levels as well, allowing you to maybe, or forcing you to go to places that you don't normally want to go, and maybe to places you've never been before. So from that point of view, table read can be very valuable, and the more you do them, the more comfortable you'll feel. Now, how does a table read work? Well, I brought a side along here. This is from a West Wing episode between President Bartlett and a priest, Father Kavanaugh. Bartlett being Martin Sheen, and Father Kavanaugh being oh God, what's Carl Malden? Oh my God, how could I forget his name? He's a phenomenal actor. Just all you have to do is look at Streetcar Named Desire, working opposite Marlon Brando, and you'll see what I mean. Certainly a worthwhile look, as is this scene, by the way, a very worthwhile look. Anyway, having said that, here's how a table read works. You put the sides down in front of you, face down. You've not really read them before that much. You might have gone through them briefly, but preferably as little as possible. Maybe even as much as looking at the actions, but that's about it if you can. But preferably not that you've not looked at them at all before you're doing the table read. By action, I mean in this case, you'll see here, there's an action. They sit down. In this case, it's neither here nor there, but there may be some detailed action that you'll probably want to have some familiarity with before you do the table read. But having said that, the idea here is the spontaneity of everything that's going to be happening. Okay, so you're sitting there. The sides are down, face down in front of both of you. You know which character, who is playing whichever character. When you turn them over, you know who's going to go first. What you do is very simple, and I'll just give you one example. What you do is you must maintain contact with your reading partner all the time that you are speaking or listening, all right? Here's what I mean by that. Assume you're listening to me, and I'm now going to play Bartlett in this case. Therefore, you must be watching me at all times. Eye contact is most important. For me, it means this. I'm going to read as much as I can that I can commit to memory. Then I'm going to look up and deliver that. And then once delivered that, I'm going to look back down. I'm going to again pick up as much as I can to memory. I'm going to look up and deliver that until I finish my passage. Here's what it looks like. I'm the leader of a democracy. "71% of the people support capital punishment. The people have spoken. The courts have spoken. Now, what's important here is that was the end of the passage. Do you notice how I looked down, picked up the lines, then looked up and delivered those lines or I should say eye to eye, right? And when I have no more to pick up, when it's next your turn, then I don't look back down to my page. So you will pick up the idea that, oh, it's my turn. So you will respond like this. Did you call the Pope? Now, that was your line, all right? Now you're going to maintain contact with me. I was watching you all the time you did that. So now what you're going to do, and I'm going to realize, oh, that must be the end of his line because he's not looking down. So hence, my turn to look down and proceed. Yeah. And again, I'm not looking down, so guess what? It's your turn to proceed, so you look down and pick up the line. Your next line. And how do you do that? Now, I'm not looking down again, so that means, guess what? It's now your turn again. So you're going to look down like this now. Oh, for crying out loud, Tom. I open my mouth and say, somebody get me the Pope. Now you see, I'm not looking down, so guess what? That means it's your turn to look down. So you would now look down. No, I'm sorry, Mr. President. But I was thinking, you're just this kid from my parish, and now you're calling the Pope. Now you see, I'm not looking down again, so guess what? It's your turn to look down. Anyway, I looked out, and then I'm done, right? Okay, so now the idea is to go through this scene and do that again and again and again. You know, you could do this a dozen times and do the scene over and over and over again a dozen times before you ever get to the point where you really understand what each line means. And the fact that you're reading it with somebody else, you know, means it's open to their interpretation as regards their character. But what's important at the get-go is to just read them as words. Don't embellish them. You'll notice I didn't put any special effort into any word whatsoever. I was trying to just read the words. The idea is that the more often you read those words, the more they will sink into your subconscious. You'll be able to memorize them. But at the same time, your brain is going about trying to figure out, unbeknownst to you, quite frankly, what they're supposed to mean. And then all of a sudden you'll have an epiphany, and the words will mean something maybe totally different than what you thought they meant. There's one line here where he says, you know, Father Kavanaugh says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." You know what that means? God is the only one who kills people. So, you know, it's a powerful line, and you can say it, try to say it powerfully, but it's best not to try to give it any emphasis the first dozen or so times through. And then as you proceed through doing this, it will all come together. Remember, you're trying to learn not only the words, but in the context that they're given, all right? So a table read, in this case, can be a very valuable tool to do that. I encourage you to use table read to learn lines and to do it in a coffee shop and make a complete fool of yourself if you have to, because quite frankly, you've got to become comfortable with yourself in an environment that maybe you're not particularly comfortable in, okay? So listen, that's all I wanted to cover today. I've got to get back to this now because I've got to finish it for Thursday. And if anything else comes of it, I will let you know in my next blog. You take care. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye now.